Hello everyone, we're Relativity, and so my name is Tomasz Gajek and I'm leading the Kraków site, Relativity Kraków site. We're part of the Relativity company, also known as Kcura. We rebranded just recently, so maybe some of you heard of us because we've been acting on this market for the last 2 years as Kcura. Now it's Relativity, and we're named after our system. So today we're gonna...
I'm Perry Marchant, Vice President of Engineering at Relativity.
Sorry, Perry. And today we're gonna talk, the main theme of this conference is machine learning. So while we still want to tell you a little bit about our company, we'll focus on machine learning and how we use it in our system. But first, let me introduce you to our company really quickly and our platform. So we've been founded in 2001 as a small consulting company. After a few years, our founder and his small team, they realized that they built a great project for one of their customers, and they productized it. They were lucky enough to save the code and rights to the code, and it was a very good move. And since that, Relativity has grown to be the leader in the e-discovery space. We're now having more than 700 people. Majority of them is based in Chicago, and the second biggest office already is Kraków. We have now 35 people and keeps growing. We have also customer-facing offices in London, Hong Kong, and Melbourne. So what do we do? We're a discovery company, and it means we're building software platform for managing high volume of electronic evidence for litigation, internal corporate investigations, and government regulatory requests. It sounds pretty complicated, but in a few minutes I'll show you what it is all about. So no worries. And who uses our software? It's used by corporations, governments, law firms, and service providers. Few words about our Kraków office and the Kraków team. So here are the pictures of the team and our brand new office that we just started a few weeks ago. It's located in the Buma building at Aleja Pokoju 5. Some people say this is the best office they've ever been to, so we're gonna host open house pretty soon, so I hope that at least some of you will come and tell us if this is really true.
A bunch of our team is here at the conference, so if you see them with their shirts and you have some questions, feel free to walk up to them and say hello and talk to them.
Sure. So what this is all business and this platform is all about. We're living in a world of data. So data is everywhere. We're flooded by emails, messages, short messages, whatever you can think of. And if you realize how many things happened in the last years, like big problems, scandals. For example, one in the middle, which is Bernard Madoff scandal. He created like financial pyramid and stole a lot of money. But it used to be seen as a great financial company that you just invest money and get nice rate. So after people realized that the guy was cheating, there was a lot of evidence already out there in many computer systems that had to be processed and investigated to find the evidence of his operations. And our platform is exactly for that purpose. It helps facilitate the end-to-end process of collecting and identifying relevant electronic evidence. And how? First, before we jump into how we do it, I'll show you the potential scale of a large case, what we call a large case. So if you imagine a company that is, for example, sued for something, and in this company there are 1,000 people who are potentially involved in the case. And these guys, they receive 100 emails per day. So I know it sounds weird, but there are companies that are doing it. And we have 250 days per year, and the case might be 5 years. Quick math, 125 million emails, potentially containing some relevant information that you need to find to defend yourself or maybe to sue someone else. So, and this is only emails. Then we're talking also about documents, about docs, PowerPoint presentations, PDFs, also streaming information from Slack, from Facebook Messenger. This is all potentially relevant data that you can use in litigation. And so now our system comes. This is the number that should tell you something. This is the biggest case that Relativity dealt with more than 750 million files that we reviewed using our system and found data that was relevant to defend the case that our customer used to defend their case. And here, our mission. We're helping our customers organize data, discover the truth, and act on it. Here you can see the numbers, how we've been growing in last 6 years. Currently, in our systems, we're hosting 150,000 cases, active cases, so thank you. We're growing, just the numbers, 13,000 organizations using our software. I think this is the most relevant number for this slide. It's quite a lot in the e-discovery world. So who is using us? Government agencies like Department of Justice, the most prominent. Also corporations, LinkedIn, Citi, NBC, and lot more that are not listed here. Law firms and consultants like Ernst & Young, PricewaterhouseCoopers. So now quickly about the system.
Yeah, thanks, Tomek. So you guys learned a little bit about who we are and what we do. Let's take a look at Relativity. So Relativity, at its heart, is an unstructured data platform. And as developers, you guys can build on this platform and deliver your own custom applications, or you can join our team and help us continue to build the platform itself. We have a large number of agencies around the platform that help provide services to our clients and their own clients. We have billions and billions of files under management in Relativity, and it's a document-centric platform. It has a very rich permission model and access control list permission model, and every action that you take in the platform is audited. So it has really rich security functionality. It's a meta-model-driven architecture, so the schema of Relativity is stored within the schema itself. That means at runtime you can change what Relativity looks like in terms of the data model. It's multi-tenant and it's distributed, so you can scale Relativity horizontally and scale it up to meet the needs of whatever matter that you're trying to take on. It's workflow driven, so you can create any workflow that you really want. It's a pretty powerful tool. You can recreate that workflow in the tool itself. We have very flexible ways to get data in and out of the platform, and in fact, the team here in Krakow is really focused on these ingestion capabilities. We have advanced analytics and machine learning tools in the platform, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. We have a little case study we'll walk through. Next-gen visualization. So you have all these documents in Relativity. How do you efficiently start to make sense of the data? And then it's extensible, right? So we have an API around it. It's a really large programmable surface area. And we have independent software companies that are building their own custom applications and delivering value to their clients using the platform. Why would you do that? Because you can take advantage of all these tools and just focus on the business functionality that you want to deliver to your clients. And in fact, when we build new features and functionalities into Relativity, we actually build them on the platform. And just another example of what the platform can do. Last year during the US presidential election, there was an investigation into Hillary Clinton, and there was 650,000 Clinton emails that had to be reviewed. And a couple of people, including the candidate at the time, Trump, and the general, Mike Flynn, who's an advisor, said there's no way you can review 650,000 emails in 8 days. It's impossible. And our community actually came out and took to social media and said, using Relativity, you could actually crush that job in probably just a few hours, even if you only have mid-level competence. So here's an example of the tool basically helping you understand what's going on in a really large set of data very quickly. And now let's take a look at what the documents actually look like in the software itself, and Tomek will walk through a couple examples here.
Yeah, so you can see how the platform looks like. We thought maybe about showing the code, but we heard that this is no go, so we'll stay with screenshots. So this is the main view for fundamental view for our application. You can see the list of documents that are already loaded to the workspace, to the case. So actually, our software is doing pre-steps as well, because this is one of the steps. The data is already there and is ready to be reviewed and visualized. So we have tools to visualize your data. Here in this example, you can see this is call center analysis. You can see, for example, in this chart that the top 10 customer phone numbers that have been used in this data. So it shows you, it gets this data from your documents and shows you that in a very like digestible way. We have a viewer for pretty much all kinds of files that you can find on the market. I mean, like commercially important. So you view them in our application, and then you can also add metadata to that. And so you start describing somehow these documents in our system. There are two very important terms that are important for e-discovery: responsive, non-responsive. Responsive means that the document is important for the case. So pretty much everything in our industry is, and this data is about being responsive, right? We're looking for responsive documents. So this is the place where you do it. We have built-in machine learning capabilities and analytics, so we will show them using the use case. We also, have tools to help understand what's in the data. And last but not least, in this chapter, this part, we have very interesting and very popular tool that is called email threading visualization. So as you can imagine, sometimes email threads go wild. So people respond to each other, reply to all, forward, reply in BCC, and then you get, as you can imagine, you're investigating this thread. You have to find the relevant data. We help the customer do that by building the thread where this customer can see how the thread was growing. Some details about that.
I think what's interesting here is you can very quickly visually see which emails are relevant, the blue ones, and which ones are not relevant. And what's also interesting is the engine is telling us something that maybe we don't know. The two gray boxes with the question marks are telling us that we're missing some data from a person that's in this email thread. So maybe we know that we're missing that data and we're okay with it, but maybe we're not, and we need to go and find the data from these people. And just to jump back to this is an example of an unclassified. an unsupervised classification of data where we're grouping documents together in what we call these circle packs. And so based on their terms, we can start to group them. And the engine can do this for us without any human intervention. So that's why it's a type of unsupervised classification. So I want to kind of walk through like some of the analytics tools. We have a client, Cozen O'Connor. They're one of the top law firms in the United States. They have 650 attorneys, and they have several Fortune 500 companies as their clients. And they were faced with a particular challenge. There was a former employee of a hospital staffing agency who was accused of stealing CRM data and supplying it to a competitor. And so Cozen O'Connor was hired by the U.S. Department of Justice to prosecute the employee and file a civil case against the competing agency. And what they chose to do was bring in Relativity to organize the data and discover the truth and act on it. And we're talking about 2 million documents, 2 million emails that they had to get through in an expedited trial, an expedited timeline. And this is a little bit different than maybe like the Google problem, where Google has to search through probably billions of documents, but they really only need to return like the top 10 relevant documents on the first page. For us, we have to make sure we hit every single document. We have to look at in some way, either with the computer or with a human, every document in a $200 million document set, because any one of those documents could be relevant to this matter. So what are some tools that are in Relativity, some analytics tools in Relativity that can help the client achieve this? One is Relativity Assisted Review. So Relativity Assisted Review is a type of supervised classification where a human trains the computer on what things look relevant, and then the computer takes that training and goes out into the rest of the document set and figures out which of the documents are also relevant. So in a case like this, a group of people may review maybe 2,000 documents out of the set of emails, 2 million emails. And then maybe the humans say 50 of these emails are relevant, the rest of them are noise. The engine can then go out and figure out which of them are also relevant or not relevant. So how does it do this? Number one, we basically build an LSI index. So it's under the covers. We're using latent semantic indexing. And we read all the documents in to build a spatial model of the terms that occur in the documents. And then that model naturally places conceptually related terms near each other. And then the documents are then placed in the model based on the terms that they include to basically build an LSI index. Once we have that index, we have human users, right, reviewing some of these documents and making a judgment as to whether the document is something they're interested in or not interested in. And based on that information, the LSI index can be used to classify the rest of the universe of documents. And there'll be a few iterations of this. So once the engine is done, the end user can then look at that set of documents that the computer classified, that Relativity classified, and it can do one of two things. The person can choose, if all the documents weren't classified because there wasn't enough seed information, the human can then go ahead and train the computer a little bit more to expand the universe that can be predictively coded. Or it can code documents that have already been classified and train the computer further to make the model more accurate. After a couple iterations of this, the model will basically come back and it'll figure out which of the 2 million emails are relevant or not relevant, and it'll do this in only a few hours. Relativity assisted review is a form of what we call conceptual analytics. We also have something we call structured analytics in Relativity that you can also use to kind of cull down the data that you have to review. One type of structured analytics is near duplicate detection. And so this is a way where we can figure out which documents are similar, because if we have documents that are similar, we don't need to review them all. We only need to review one of the similar documents. And the way this works is we basically parse the text to generate a signature. And then we order items by the word count and create and then compare the items to potential matches by processing those signatures, and we generate a score. And then that score is returned in a percentage value, and so we have a really clear understanding of which documents are similar and how similar they are. So again, as a person doing a review, it narrows my focus down to just documents that are unique or emails that are unique. And finally, the last thing we have is email threading, another form of structured analytics. You saw the visualization earlier. Email threading helps you just group together emails into these families, again, so that we can kind of reduce the amount of data that we have to go through. And the way it works is it divides emails into segments. So it takes the sender, maybe the time header, and chunks out the email. And then it compares segments via a combination of sender, subject, body, and a few other fields to determine if these segments match. And then it'll thread the emails by joining connected segments into a node. So think of a node as an interlinking point in an email chain, maybe like a reply point or a branch in the email chain. And then email threads, even after going through this, they're still a little bit incomplete, and so we have some special proprietary stuff that we do to help kind of complete the puzzle. And once we have completed that information, we can generate a really accurate and useful metadata. So we can figure out which are duplicates, which are inclusive, who's talking to who, what emails may be missing from that thread, and we can present that visually to the end user. So some pretty powerful stuff. And using these analytics tools, our customer, Cozen O'Connor, was able to find just one key document. Out of that set of 2 million, they found one key document that was really relevant to their case and helped them prove their story. And help them increase their settlement offer by 10 times. So some pretty cool stuff. That's all we have. If there's any questions, I think we have like a few seconds for questions. But we'll be around the conference if you want to talk one-on-one. We'd be happy to talk.
Sure, our booth is next to the good coffee stand. So just come, grab us, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Thanks, everyone.